Are you ready for a job that gets you more? UPS is hiring now. As a warehouse worker, you'll earn up to $21 per hour, and you might even be eligible for a program that helps you with thousands of dollars for college, in many cases tuition free. Search and apply now at upsjobsky.com.
Card Nation, this is attorney Alex White with SueDistractedDriver.com. Our law firm is a team of dedicated attorneys ready to fight for you. If you get injured because of someone else's negligence, their insurance company already has a legal team, and now so do you. If you or a friend or loved one are injured, find your attorney at SueDistractedDriver.com.
This is an advertisement.
Welcome back into the drive here on 93.9 The Ville. Mark Guinness, Mark Blankenbaker here on a Monday. If you want to weigh in on anything now that we've talked about here so far, I did see the Ravens, a Ravens site pointing out that the Ravens currently first in play action attempts, passing attempts on first down, yards per completion, average air yards per attempt. They are chucking it this year. And Lamar's he's going to get that extension, man.
Well, he's definitely going to get the extension. The question is it $40 million? Is it $30 million? Is it $35 million? How long's the contract? What's guaranteed? All of that stuff really matters because, Pat Mahomes got a 10-year, $400 million deal. And, a lot of like in the NBA, like LeBron and these guys, they don't sign long deals because they know the salary cap's going to go up and the maximum salary is going to go up. So they don't sign what would have been like the Mahomes equivalent of $40 million. Like, see what Steph Curry just signed for. It's like almost $50 million a year. So I do wonder, like, because of the longevity of the way that Lamar plays, he is only 24 years old, but like, would they sign him to a 6-year deal? Or does he only want like a 2 or 3 year deal so that he can keep going up? Yeah,
I think you get the years if you can.
I would if I were him.
All right. I mentioned Urban Meyer after they lost on Thursday night. He stayed in Ohio, and I've seen a number of players point out today they have never seen that, where a coach did not fly home with the team and then caught in a bar that he owns in Ohio, said he was with his grandkids, except that he wasn't, and he was in Ohio State gear, dork. And he's out there getting grind on by some girl that's in her 20s who has no idea who he is. So she says. And he looks – and then there's another – of course, that's right. And then there's another angle where you can totally see him going Clemson linebacker on her. Like, that's what he was doing. It's disgusting for him. It's terrible for him to be doing that. And his wife is the kind of person that would kill you in your sleep, too. So he's taking his life in his own hands.
Yeah. Is he back at home now? Is he going to go home? Or
I don't know. We'll have Joel
go
look. Remember, Joel lives close to where Urban does. We'll have Joel go look.
Time to put those pictures down on the coffee table.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I've seen all those photos, and that girl wasn't in any of them.
No.
So people are starting to take notice, and look, it's becoming a little bit of a pattern with Urban. These sorts of things that other coaches just don't do. He hired the freaking racist strength coach, and they had to fire him before the year started. Remember all that stuff?
Yeah, I remember that.
He's. I'm telling you, this is 1 year experiment here. But Marcus Spears on NFL Live went off, and it's really good. Listen.
Like y'all know me. I ain't never scared on TV. I don't give a damn. We got enough evidence about who Urban Meyer is, America. We have enough. If you want to research it yourself, go ahead and do it. I've researched it. I've talked to people in circles. It's enough out there for everybody to understand why Urban Meyer shouldn't be the head coach of anybody.
There you go.
Man, have you researched it? Have you sat on the toilet and researched?
No, yeah. I've been doing my own research on Urban Meyer for a while.
I know you have.
Texas says that Urban Meyer video was a whole lot of not much. There's a lot of perfect people on the internet. Now, listen, Urban is the one that sets his own standards here. Yeah. And I want you to ask yourself this, especially when it comes to NFL coaches. His explanation, where he made a passing reference to Trevor Lawrence and his bachelor party and all that sort of thing, which was very weird.
Trevor went on a bachelor party to Vegas.
Well,
okay.
In my life, I'm just going to tell you right now, in my life, I have never seen another coach in the NFL get caught with something like this. Never. I've never, and I know they have affairs and do whatever they do. In my life, I've never seen another NFL coach get caught in a situation like this ever.
No, I can't.
But also, Urban is loaded his entire career up with the most ridiculous hyperbole about the best of the best I've ever been around. We're getting the 1% of the 1%, all this stuff. And then he's phony.
I know. Well, Urban's been a big disappointment because, look, he's had a lot of very good football teams, obviously. Going from the MAC over to Utah, down to Florida and Ohio State. I mean, the impact that he's had on college football is pretty undeniable, but he's done it in sort of a really gross way. If you look at the teams that he had in Florida with the basically criminality that happened, and the type of people that he had down there at Ohio State with his wide receiver coach and all the different things, and that basically ended his tenure there at Ohio State. And then now, he's a commentator for Fox, and then he takes the Jaguars job. And
remember when he did that hit?
Lose.
Remember when he did that hit on Fox Sports from the boat? And I think he was very clearly a little hammered.
I think so too.
And there was that mystery weirdo walking around behind him,
and he's like, "Go, go, go, go!" Like, what is that? Yeah.
He's a weird guy.
He's a strange guy. Obviously, he knows how to coach football, but you can't say things definitively and then go and do butt stuff in a bar with a woman who's not your wife. And then was it probably planted? Yeah. She probably walked up to him and said, "Hey, film this." It was probably set up, but he still freaking did it. It doesn't matter.
These coaches, in season, they all know. Okay, fam, I'll see you in January, to their own families.
Yes.
They're like, I'll see you in January, and maybe an hour or two, one night a week, maybe.
Well, in the NFL, you get Mondays off. Not the players do,
the
but
coaches
don't.
But they know. Yeah. And it's the reason the vast majority, these guys get freaking divorces and they just mail it in. It's what happens. And Urban didn't take the flight home with the team. He stayed around to hang around in his own bar and tried to say this was because he wanted to hang out with the grandkids. That's not what was happening. Buddy, come on now.
She said, "I should have left, and I didn't leave, and it was a dumb thing to do," and blah, 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 blah. But so apparently Shelley Meyer is out there liking tweets on the internet.
Where people are telling her, you can do better than this guy and all this stuff.
Well, I mean, she can just
she's
take
a
half.
nutbag, anti-vaxxer weirdo as it is.
Is she?
Oh, yeah.
She's a nurse.
Well, that only makes it worse.
What the hell?
Oh, this is not a sane bunch, dude. She also strikes me very much as a rabbit in the pod kind of person. I would not be tempting fate here, Herb. I'd sleep with one eye open for a while.
Yeah, or maybe just sleep in the office. Just sleep in the office, get a little cot in there and just hang out, and maybe the Jaguars won't fire you. I don't know, man. But I've always thought he'd be back in college football with this type of thing.
I think he might be done. I just don't think he can hold it together anymore.
Who is holding it together? Not surprisingly, is Missouri State.
They
keep
really?
winning. Yeah.
Good for them.
They lost by 6 to Oklahoma State. They've won the rest of their games, leading to me to have more evidence that Bobby Petrino tanked the 2018 season on purpose.
But he also does this.
Yeah, he does well for a while.
He's a colonizer. He's not a nation builder.
But, I mean,
we'll see what they look like in 2 years.
Think anybody will hire him out of there?
I would be stunned.
Sam, by the way, when you said, who is holding it together, I thought he was going to go into a DFH company.
Oh.
I could have swore, dude. I thought it was coming. He's like, who else? You know who's holding it together? I was like, oh, DFH company. It was a sports take.
As you mentioned, they are holding it together. You got some colder nights, you got some hotter during the day. DFH company will help you kind of manage those swings back and forth. 968-6222 is the number. DFHcompany.com is the place. I have a certified train system at my house, HVAC system, and as Pat mentions, they are holding it together at my house and a lot of houses and businesses around this city. Because, it is it's the premier place for heating and air conditioning. They treat you fairly. If you don't need a new system, they're not going to sell you on one. And they'll take good care of you over the DFH, and they'll hold you guys together.
Has there ever been a more lame recognition of an all-time record being broken than what we got last night with Brady?
It was really lame.
I agree.
He got the all-time passing yardage record he breaks it on a play in which it's just a routine completion, and they go out and realize they misspotted the ball, move it like a yard and a half, 2 yards forward, and oh, by the way, that gets them the record. And they didn't stop it. They didn't do anything. They barely put anything up on the screen or anything about it. And it was all right, we're over with that. Moving on past that.
Isn't that wild?
What?
Isn't that really incredible?
Bizarre.
But yeah, I was happy for Tom that he was able to do it on the field, that he played so many games, and get a win there. You could tell when he was talking to Michelle Tafoya after the ball game that that it really meant a lot to him, and that he really wanted to kind of convey the message to fans in Boston that, like, even though he's not there anymore, he still very much cares about them. And I think it was also, Giselle and his family were sitting in Robert Kraft's box and stuff like that. So that's got to be bittersweet to, have to leave a place. And probably,
I think one day we might get them all to admit just how emotional they were for all that.
I think we saw like a little preview of like the actuality. And Belichick's whole thing, his whole career has been, how much smoke is left in that cigar? And he is famous for basically being able to say, you know what, we're not going to spend money on that player. He's done with his career. And let those guys walk, and bringing in guys that maybe have a little bit more left than their teams thought they had, and giving them a fresh start, renting them out for a year, and it works. But in the case of Tom Brady, I think they missed quite significantly. And all the management between his trainer and and saying, oh, he's too old, he's got to be falling off a cliff here, and he had some seasons, but they never gave him the receivers he has in Tampa.
No,
like
never.
He had Randy Moss,
and that was short lived,
and that was it. And he had Hernandez, so until he killed a guy. But that was short lived, as you mentioned. He's got the full complement of weapons down there in Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay's third receiver is Chris Godwin.
I know, and I wanted Chris Godwin to go to the Ravens.
Right, exactly.
And they protected him. They franchise tagged. Speaking of I was thinking about the Bucs though. They got boat raced by the Rams, and the Cardinals beat the Rams.
The Cardinals are really good.
Like, what's going on?
Honestly, thinking about we've talked more NFL on this show than we did the first 2 years of the show. Part of that is it became a Ravens affiliate and the emergence of Lamar. Mm-hmm. But part of it is also the NFL's more fun to watch than it's ever been.
Oh, yeah.
Now, not every team and not every game. For instance, I watched the Colts and the Dolphins, and it was, it was
dude, the Colts.
It was like giving blood.
Right.
I just got through it.
Well, I made the suggestion.
Because it was on.
I made the suggestion in like June that we should dump the Colts and pick up the Broncos. But like Drew, and he's right. Like, we didn't know exactly that, Teddy would win the starting job over Locke. So it was like not really worth it. But man, we should have dumped the Colts. Like, they're awful. I'm sorry, Pat. They're terrible.
But the reason I brought that up, like, the NFL is very, very fun to watch right now. In the last 10 years, there's been a self-conscious willingness for NFL teams to do more non-traditional things offensively, highlighted by the Ravens, by the Cardinals basically doing air raid stuff. Cliff Kingsbury, for crying out, just over there, looking beautiful on the sideline, all that stuff. And the emergence of all these really kind of clever offensive guys, but then also a willingness to take on non-traditional looking and playing quarterbacks. Lamar, Baker Mayfield, Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray. I mean, Baker Mayfield and Kyler Murray going number one overall does not happen in 2005 because they're not 6'4".
They're not refrigerator boxes.
Exactly.
They don't look like they're going to be on the cover of a movie poster. And I do think that what you're saying is like these teams, they're willing to do different things, but they're also not. They're not in the box of like, we have to do it this way, or we're never going to find players that off the waiver wire. And like, I think a lot of these teams are like, look, we're either going to thrive or die doing it this way. And like the Ravens, like, it doesn't really matter who they pick off the waiver wire in terms of who the running back is. That guy just goes for yards. It's like unbelievable. Like, they have no running backs and they're 3-1. So it's kind of incredible to see, the different quarterback styles. Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield. You got Josh Allen, who's this like big, huge
his
dude
own
that can
kind of
run.
freak, right?
And it's kind of weird. Like Zach Wilson, like, it was okay and with the Jets, but like they're trying it
nice.
out. Yeah,
but
they're willing to trade Sam Darnold down to Carolina for it.
Who also looks nice.
Yeah,
there in Carolina, proving that Adam Gase is a crackhead. Like, he should never ever be a head coach again, and basically owes Peyton Manning everything he's ever made in his entire life in the NFL.
I would say so.
But there is still a place for Tom Brady. There's still a place for Aaron Rodgers, who doesn't move.
Yeah,
and
Derek Carr's
right, and
okay.
There's still a place for Mac Jones.
Yeah.
Last night. Now, look, he threw one pass more than 20 yards downfield last night, and it was intercepted. But he completed 19 in a row. Like, you can build a worthwhile offense around a guy like him too. Like, but there's variety, And it seems like just about everyone's kind of good at this, except for Houston, who's not good at any of this. They lost 40-0 yesterday and had 67 yards passing and killed me.
Are there any 0 teams left in the NFL?
The Jaguars.
Oh, that's right. Never mind.
And Detroit.
I should have had that. And Detroit. Yeah, Detroit's terrible. Of course, Justin Tucker, I made sure of that, which is awesome. That's still one of the, like, and when you have moments like that, like, that's how you kind of know, like, your season. Like, UCF had that the year they went to the Cotton Bowl. Like, they had moments like that. And in an individual game, just bringing it back to the Louisville game, Wake had a ton of those moments where, like, of course they got that. Of course they completed that. It was beyond the calls. Like, they had a favorable whistle, favorable flag, but the play off the ground, the first down where he got his right leg in and it looked like his left was out, his left didn't look like he could have gotten it. Like the play from Hartman, all these different plays were just like, okay, it's their day. It's their day.
And I wanted to. A lot of people will dismissively talk about the officiating in the Wake game and be like, you can't blame the refs. If you just catch one of those touchdowns, you win the game. And I totally disagree with that in this regard. It's not either or. Like, Louisville got screwed by officiating, and Louisville missed its own field goal. And Louisville missed not one but two wide open, schemed up passing touchdowns that would have won them that game.
And Wake made plays.
And Wake made Sam Hartman completes a pass inside the red zone where he's he's horizontal, he's parallel to the ground.
Yeah.
And that guy magically drags 1 foot in bounds, and that was the right call. He caught that ball and got that foot in bounds. Like, Wake did things, and Louisville did not get crucial stops on the last 2 possessions of the game. Like, it's not either or. It's all of it.
It's all of it.
It all happened.
It all did happen, and it doesn't make the referee side just okay. It's not it's not all about the defense, but you got to talk about the defense. It's not all
the
about
part that's about the defense is about the defense.
It's about the defense,
right.
And the part that's about the officiating, it's about the officiating, and the part that's about Louisville, kind of having a little bit of a lull in the second and third quarter is about that. All that's true, but when you go on the road to play a top 25 team, it's hard to win those games. The margins are very thin. So the fact that Louisville had all of those things happen and they still had a chance to win, they still tied it. I think it's one of those things where you could negatively react, and we had a lot of that with the Ole Miss game. But they've shown us something here. You can start to see progress, and it's good to see that progress take hold. And I think we can all. I think we look at the remaining schedule, and it's tough. This weekend's tough. Thankfully, we get a bye, and we'll see how we do against this week, and then 3 weeks from now when we play Boston College, and hopefully we're in a good spot after those.
And for as frustrating as that was, I think it was a missed opportunity to be further along in this total rebuild, which it was, than maybe we'd hoped or thought that we were. You could it could be worse. Like, imagine if you're Texas A&M right now, where they lost over the weekend to Mississippi State.
Wow.
They are 3-2. Jimbo Fisher got a raise to $9.5 million a year in season, when it's literally impossible that anyone else could have overpaid him to get him to go somewhere else. And they're 3-2. And their losses are to Arkansas and Mississippi State.
Goodness.
Two of the teams that you would not have thought that you would lose to, but that that means you still have to play.
They beat Alabama this week, Auburn,
they
LSU.
They beat Colorado 10-7.
Yeah, not a good game for A&M.
They lost to Arkansas 20-10. They lost to Mississippi State 26-22. Their next upcoming games, they play Alabama.
Yeah, this week.
And then it's Missouri, South Carolina. Missouri gave up 1,500 points to Tennessee over the weekend.
God.
Fired the defensive line coach.
Did they really?
After the game.
Well, I mean, it was unbelievable. Like, Tennessee's not that good of a team.
But then their schedule after that, Auburn, Ole Miss, Juwan Pass and Prairie View.
Oh, they play Prairie View?
Yeah. And then LSU.
Okay.
Like, Jimbo Fisher got a raise to $9.5 million a year. The coaching staff, I think, makes close to 14 as a whole.
He's got $5 million assistant coach pool?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, they make boatloads of money. And there's a very real chance they go 6-6.
Jeez, that's amazing.
Like, they're going to be 3-3 after Alabama, and have Missouri, South Carolina, Auburn, Ole Miss, LSU.
We had all this talk all year, that they were close to Alabama, that they were going to close the gap. And, look, Alabama's on its own other planet, and Ole Miss and Alabama, that was a game. But, Texas A&M, talked a lot of noise, and they ought to be for the amount of resources that they have and things like that. Like, they should be right
and what
there.
they spend.
But their proximity to Houston and Dallas and things like that. Like, they should be able to get like a good amount of the recruits, and they have. That's one of the reasons why Texas wanted to move to the SEC, because they were tired of A&M winning recruiting battles over them. So, but Ole Miss though, and Alabama.
Yeah. What a disappointment.
But you know what happened though? Just because I watched that game back on like a condensed version.
I so badly wanted that game to be other than what it was.
Alabama beat Ole Miss at its 4th down game.
Well, yeah.
And blew it open. Ole Miss went for it on 4th downs. They didn't get him, and Alabama went for it on 4th downs, and they got him. They took Ole Miss's playbook and flipped it on him and did it better than Ole Miss. That's unbelievable. But that's what Alabama does. They say, oh, okay, you want to go for it on all your 4th downs? Okay, we're going to stop you. And by the way, we're going to go for it on 4th down
every time.
too. Yeah.
Well, and look, I think Lane Kiffin I think he's come a long way. I think he's a much better coach than he was earlier in his career. And even now, there is an ocean between he and Nick Saban. And Nick Saban did not mind reminding him of that in this game. But you had Lane Kiffin. I appreciated him being self-aware today and saying in his Monday press conference when he said, "Get your popcorn ready," and threw the headphones down, and they went out there and they were down 14-0 in like 4 minutes. He said, he let the moment get to him, and he regretted saying that. Mm-hmm. But by halftime of the game, Alabama's freaking mascot is dancing around on the field with a giant popcorn thing on.
How'd they do that?
How in the world did they do that?
How'd they do that so fast? I don't know. Because I saw it and I was like, that's awesome.
It's probably the case that one of these fired coaches that's an analyst literally just watches the pregame interview to see if the coach says anything weird.
Like, Big Al needs a prop.
Yes.
You're the prop maker.
Popcorn. Get to Party Mart now. Get me a popcorn thing. Get it on the mascot and get it out there by halftime.
That's a popcorn thing that big, though, that Big Al can get into it.
That had to be a coincidence. Had to. Like
they just
happened to notice it.
Like they had a sponsor on site that day doing popcorn. And they're like, go get that bleeping guy
Put
right
it on
now.
the mascot since he said get your popcorn ready.
Did you see Kiffin's response about that this morning, or on the press conference that they had today? They asked him about throwing the headset, like if that was a planned thing, and he goes, "No, I just got caught up in the moment, and I got on the headset and I told Levy, his offensive coordinator, he goes, I just did something really stupid. You better score a lot of points," and they didn't.
And they did not. They got humbled. And look, I think it's fair to say,
I think Ole Miss is a good football team. By the way,
I do too. But and there's just a gulf between the Alabama and everyone else, except you guys agree with me, and Georgia, because Arkansas has been, as Spencer Hall would say, whomping everybody, and they got beat 37-0. That game was over in 5 minutes.
Yeah, they didn't have enough offense.
And we're going to get a 14 playoff that should be just Georgia and Alabama.
You don't think it should be Iowa, Penn State? These two teams playing.
Care about
no, Iowa has shown they can't score points.
I want to see. But the point is, whoever those other two don't matter.
Yeah.
So, for me, if we're going to have this debate about should Cincinnati be in the college football playoff this year,
you're like, yeah,
sure,
yeah, why not?
Why not?
Because it doesn't matter.
Why not? I mean, look, they took care of business against Notre Dame. They controlled that game, the whole game. Cool. Put them in. Doesn't matter. They're going to die. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
It could be Oklahoma.
I don't
matter.
gain anything. I don't lose anything by the number 4 team being Cincinnati versus one-loss Oregon, who also got screwed by the officials this weekend.
I think Syracuse got screwed. In the Florida State game.
It doesn't matter whoever the 4 seed is. Alabama or Georgia is going to humiliate them.
They are. Well, we'll see. I mean, let give them the opportunity to be humiliated.
Give me some reason to think that it won't be anything other than humiliating.
But give these teams, whether it's Penn State or Iowa or Cincinnati, the opportunity to be humiliated. And if they go in there and for whatever reason they can pull off the upset, then awesome. There's always that game every year that Alabama looks mortal. Every single year, or even in their really good years, there are games where they look mortal. And nobody's fallen faster than Clemson. They're unranked now. They fell out of the rankings after beating.
They beat Boston College 19-14 because Boston College fumbled inside the red zone against Clemson with a chance to score a touchdown and win that game too.
That center was snapping it all over the place.
They lost another player to injury. It's a throwaway year. It's one of these cursed years for Dabo, where sort of have to pay up for all the good luck over the years. I mean, they're great, but they've had good luck too. And they're this year they don't have it.
And DJ Uyunglele is not. I mean, he's not Deshaun Watson. He's not Kelly Bryant. He's not Trevor Lawrence. He's not even Taj Boyd. He's what is he, Hunter Stout? You know, like, you remember Hunter Stout when they had them? They really couldn't move the ball.
When Watson got hurt and they had put him in.
They relied on their defense, and you know, they still won some games, but they didn't win a lot of games, and they didn't win them like they did when they were going into the college football playoff and winning national championships a bunch. So, you know, I'm shocked that they don't have a better quarterback. I'm shocked that DJ Uiagalelei is not that good. He was the number one quarterback coming out of high school 2 years back, and he was the heir apparent to Trevor Lawrence. They had to know that he is not on the level of Trevor Lawrence.
But I don't even know that he. Well, I mean, last year they plugged him in the Notre Dame, 400 something yards.
It's true.
It's the
but
whole.
he's got Justin Ross. And
it's
he's got
the whole
Nagata,
offense, though. But they don't have elite linemen like Georgia and Alabama do.
Yeah.
Offensive linemen. They don't have Travis Etienne or C.J. Spiller or Wayne Gallman.
Everybody that recruits a freaking 5-star.
But like, have you seen the stat though? Like last year, like 40% of snaps teams were in a nickel defense of some kind, and this year it's 99%.
They're all in nickel.
No one is afraid of them running the ball, and it changes everything.
It changes a lot, and you know, it's just one of those things. You know that they're probably going to be in the graduate transfer market for a quarterback.
Well, I did think that it was an interesting comment that was being made by a couple different people throughout the day on Saturday, that, you know, Dabo is highly resistant to taking transfers in.
Oh.
That he's like a culture guy, and I want my recruits and all that sort of. And they have taken zero.
Well, who else do they have a quarterback then? Because like DJ's not getting it done. He's got receivers out there.
But like they could easily troll the transfer market and upgrade on the offensive line, and they don't.
This isn't helping Arch Manning come to Clemson.
True.
I don't think he was ever going to Clemson anyway, because I think he's going to stay in the SEC regardless, and it's a matter of Bama, Ole Miss, or LSU. To me, my opinion, but there was a conversation that he might go to Clemson for a while, and this is not helping in any way, shape, or form.
We did not mention this earlier, but I did want to mention this before we take our last break here. The Ravens had a 42-game streak of rushing for 100 yards. It was one game shy of tying the Steelers in the 70s, who had 43 straight games of 100 yards rushing, which in the NFL is no small task. I mean, the Patriots had -1 rushing yards last night.
Really? -1?
So it's extremely hard to do. It's been a thing they've done, you know, under Lamar. It's been part of what they do. And the Ravens got the ball with, I think, 6 seconds left, maybe 4. They had time for one play. And instead of kneeling with 98 rushing yards, they put the offense out there, and Lamar just kind of ran to the left and got 4 yards, and they ended up with 102 yards rushing. And instead of kneeling, they did that, kept the streak alive. Vic Fangio lost his mind today, the coach of the Broncos. Look, it was the most baseball-sounding whining I've ever heard from a football coach. You know, in baseball, you can't ever act like you're happy you hit a home run. You can't look at anybody. You can't trot too slow. You know, you can't high-five anybody.
You don't look at it. Don't slap any hands.
Right. There's
don't
all
slap any butts. Don't step on the plate
honor,
too hard.
Stupid rules.
Yes.
Right. So apparently that Fangio was like that, and basically went off and said it was classless, and he said it was BS. He said the actual word, and what I loved about it was him saying, "I guess player safety doesn't matter to them."
Come on, you were down 24-7, and you were still trying to score before they got the ball.
23-10.
Yeah,
and they ran took 3 timeouts to try and get one more score, and Harbaugh fired back to him. Was like, "I wasn't aware there was a 16-point play that you could run." So I guess player safety didn't matter too much.
Didn't matter too much at that point.
I love what Harbaugh said elsewhere, where he said, "Hey, they might not like that, but what's significant to them is not the same as what's significant to us." And I think Harbaugh did it. He didn't do it to show up Denver. He did it to say that we are the team that rushes for 100 yards.
Right. We're the team that rushes for 100, and we're going to have the NFL record. And next week, we're going to run for 100 again, and we're going to own it on our own. And we're going to pass the Pittsburgh Steelers in the 70s.
To me, it was about, like, what is the message to my own guys? It wasn't about the Broncos at all.
Isn't that amazing, though, that they have that record from the 70s? I mean, 80s, 90s, 2000s. Nobody, and, like, the way the rushing and, like, the game
the way the NFL is,
yeah.
right. Like, it doesn't even, like, running backs are almost inconsequential almost.
It's crazy. It's crazy, and I'm happy that, you know, it happened. with Lamar. We're setting records. We're adjusting the NFL's record books. Lamar did that in college. He's doing that now in the NFL. It's pretty fun to watch, honestly, because especially when you consider what you and I talked about the whole time leading up to the draft. It was, why don't they see it? Why can't they see this guy? He's there hiding in plain sight. Why can't they just appreciate the special that is Lamar Jackson? And they didn't. And now, he's got this crazy winning percentage. He's got NFL's MVPs. They're changing the record books around all over the NFL. And, it's great to say that we were right and they were wrong. And the Ravens are the beneficiaries of it.
All right, let's take our last break here. We'll come back. We'll put a bow on this. If you still want to weigh in on Louisville Wake Forest, you certainly can as well here. All that and more to wrap things up on The Drive on I Think the Bill.
Are you ready for a job that gets you more? UPS is hiring now. As a warehouse worker, you'll earn up to $21 per hour, and you might even be eligible for a program that helps you with thousands of dollars for college, in many cases tuition free. Search and apply now at upsjobsky.com.
Card Nation, this is attorney Alex White with SueDistractedDriver.com. Our law firm is a team of dedicated attorneys ready to fight for you. If you get injured because of someone else's negligence, their insurance company already has a legal team, and now so do you. If you or a friend or loved one are injured, find your attorney at SueDistractedDriver.com.
This is an advertisement.
You're locked on The Drive, presented by Fitness Market, right here on 93.9 The Ville. Now, here's Mark Ennis and Mark Blankenbaker.
Welcome back into The Drive here on 93.9 The Ville. Mark Ennis, Mark Blankenbaker. Still time if you want to jump in here, 8150-93.9, 3831, 93.9 for the UPS Jobs text line. Talking about quarterback play and DJ not necessarily being the guy for Clemson as we thought, or as they thought. We didn't know Puma wasn't Lamar until it was too late. I mean, that's...
Yeah.
But there are issues around him. Regarding me dismissing the number 4 seed, no matter who it is, in the college football playoff, because they have to play Alabama or Georgia. The 2013 Sugar Bowl is your reason. No one gave us a chance. I don't even think that's a good...
Well, that Florida team wasn't as
I was going to say
stout.
To me, they're nowhere near what these what this Georgia or Alabama teams look like with what they did. Holy cow!
Have you seen Dellinger's 12 team? Like, had it? What if it was like the 12 team playoff? Is it would be Bama, Iowa, Cincinnati, Oklahoma, because Georgia would have to be a conference champion to be in the top 4. So they would be 5 playing Wake Forest, and then Oklahoma if they advance beyond Wake, and then Bama would get BYU, Michigan. So but I'm just a little worried. Like, you got Coastal Carolina there. Like, they're not going to make the 12-team playoff. I'm advocating for in a fake scenario for Coastal Carolina.
It's just watching those two teams do what they did, over the weekend. It's hard for me to envision anybody but one another beating each other.
But Penn State Iowa is a big game this weekend.
Sure it is.
Like, I'm not. Like, I feel like Penn State might be legit.
I think they might be legit, but
and
nobody's legit compared to Bama and Georgia. I think that's the problem. Is
you don't
they
even
might
think they could compete?
Nope.
Why would I? You're like, nope.
Why would I think that?
Well, who has Alabama played that is at that level yet? Because, like, Miami's not it.
No, the problem is they don't play anybody.
Ole Miss is pretty good.
Well, that's because anybody they play makes you think they're not at that level anymore.
Yeah, it's true. Because I still think Ole Miss is going to probably do a lot.
I think
Ole
Miss probably still be like an 8 or 9 win team, and they got completely blasted off the field and beat up.
Yeah,
like I felt like they like every single time an Ole Miss guy got tackled, he was being crushed every time.
When's Saban retiring?
Not soon enough.
Because, like, we've talked before about, like, hey, Clemson's going to come down to earth sometime, and then they have. But Alabama ain't never coming down to earth. No, that's what
infuriates you the most about them is that they don't ever have a clunker. They don't ever have a season like Clemson where everybody's just getting beat up and injured left and right. Their worst injured, beat-up year was the year Tua gave way to Mac Jones, and it was still like 9 first-round picks on offense. Yeah. Like, it's a different animal. I did want to mention, just in passing really quickly, Purdue lost to Minnesota over the weekend. 3-2.
Wow.
And Purdue's upcoming games.
Yeah, who do they have?
They have a week off. Listen to this stretch.
Okay.
Oh, my God. Listen to this. Are you ready for this? Purdue has this bye week.
Yeah.
They're 3-2. Their wins are, I think, New Mexico State. They beat
They beat Illinois.
They beat Oregon State to start the season, which actually is a good win.
It's a good win, yeah.
Beat UConn.
Oh, UConn.
And they beat Illinois 13-9. But they lost to Minnesota. They lost to Notre Dame. But their next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games at Iowa, Wisconsin at home, at Nebraska, Michigan State, which is strung together, I think, 3 500-yard games in a row, at Ohio State.
Oh,
That's their next. Like, they're gonna be 3-6.
man, they got to start playing some better football. Up there in West Lafayette, and
And
I
also,
want the Browns
I did
to
want to
win.
ask, what the hell happened to Northwestern?
I don't know. That's a
It
great
could be a
question.
down year for them, man. It happens.
But they lost to Duke, and then they got beat 56-7 by Nebraska, who I think we all agreed sucked earlier.
Well, here's the thing about schools like Northwestern, Iowa State, Wake Forest. All these schools. The margin is razor thin, and when they are on top of things, they can look very good. But when they lose a quarterback, like Indiana, okay, Michael Penix goes down with an injury. He's not the same player he was a year ago. And, it's not that Indiana as a whole is not as good as that. Michael Penix isn't playing at the same level that he was. And he could maybe, if he had the time to rehab his injury and get back on track with everything, probably look like the guy he did it before. But, the margin's razor thin. You don't have the depth. You don't have the studs across the field like Bama or Penn State or something like that. So if one part of your team is not performing at Northwestern or Indiana, then it all looks like it's off.
Well,
when really it's about one or two dudes.
Exactly, because I think you're right on that, because programs like that, the Indianas, the Cincinnati, that whole team, for them to be as good as they are, they got an entire bunch of dudes that are really good. But a school like Indiana, bottom tier Big Ten, 6-6, that's the expectation every single year for them. I mean, you're right. I mean, a guy like that goes down, one major piece, your season's essentially over.
And so he's there, but he's not the same guy he was last year.
Right, and he is not the Big Ten Player of the Year caliber guy he was last season.
It's probably because he's just not healthy. He's out there and he's giving you everything. And football doesn't give you time to get healthy. Especially college football. Like Teddy Bridgewater. Okay, he has that injury at Minnesota. He looked okay, with the Saints. He looked okay with the Panthers, and now all of a sudden he's looking great. Maybe it's because it took him 3 or 4 years to fully get healed. And now that he's like, okay. It's, now you're like, okay, that's the Teddy Bridgewater I always thought he was.
Yeah.
But Michael Penix may not have that amount of time, but I hope he does, because I think he's a very good player.
Mike Lindsay texted and said, what do we make of the fact that Georgia did not score an offensive touchdown against Clemson and NC State scored 4?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't know.
Now, part of it is that Clemson's already lost a handful of guys to injury, for the rest of the year from that defense. I think, they played lights out. But Georgia's not. I still don't think they can score with Bama. I think they've only allowed a touchdown in one game this year.
Oh, really?
Georgia defensively. I think they are just hysterically enormous and athletic defensively. And I think it would be a whale of a game, Alabama and Georgia. I just don't think anybody else even matters.
Facebook's back.
Oh, great.
Look at that. Imagine if today was your birthday and you were looking forward to all those happy birthday messages, and then you just didn't get any. You're like,
Bro, I'm sorry. I know some people that's very important for them.
It's not important to me at all.
Dude, for example,
I totally rely on Facebook to house all my pictures and remind me whose birthday it is.
If we lost Facebook,
That's
I'd
it.
lose a lot of photos.
dude,
A ton.
Tons
My
of
mom
All
posted,
my kids.
My mom posted a bunch of pictures of me that I look terrible in from National Sons Day. She's like, why don't you comment on that? I'm like, Mom, I don't get on Facebook. I don't check my notifications. Leave me alone.
It's not all the way back, by the way. It's still having
Oh,
all
they
sorts
just
of
sent in a
issues.
team to manually reset things.
Good riddance. We need people off their phones and living their lives.
Facebook's a cesspool anyway.
God, dude.
Twitter's not.
Facebook is much more impactful, though.
Really?
Twitter's
no, you're right.
much
Facebook's
smaller,
much more.
selective audience.
Yeah.
Facebook is gen pop disaster.
Facebook
Boomer,
was a lot cooler before, when we're all in college,
Before
or
everyone-
right out of college,
right, everyone's-
before
Well-
all our relatives joined
All
Facebook.
Gen Xers, just say it.
Yes, like Facebook was cooler before boomers got smartphones.
And before Russia figured it out.
That too. But I'm just telling you.
Yeah, you're right. Russia did ruin it. Like, they ruin everything.
They do most things.
Have you read up on Havana syndrome?
I have not.
You need to read up on that.
Okay.
It's scary.
Texture says, I still want Braum. I think you are in the extreme minority on that.
Look,
I mean, why?
we want Scott Satterfield. Okay? We want Scott Satterfield. I don't want to change the program. We're 3-2. We should be 4-1, or at least we should have had a better shot at 4-1.
They're 3-2. They just lost the team that lost to Bowling Green last week.
Yeah, look, I'm much.
He's gonna find out this texture is like Brahm's mom.
I would much prefer to have the dude who just lost on the road to a ranked team by a field goal that should have never happened before. But like, hey, I feel like we're in these games. You know what I mean? Like, we've won some tight ones with Central Florida. It was an exciting game. Florida State, things are coming together. Everybody's worried about how we're going to replace Tutu Atwell and Des Fitzpatrick, and we threw for 300 yards, had 435, 40 yards last week. So, yeah, the offense has figured it out, and Malik Cunningham's playing some pretty good ball. Does he need to recruit the quarterback position? Yeah, he does, but Caleb Johnson looks pretty good, and we'll see what happens with that. Defensive line, yeah, we need to get that worked out, but we're in year 3, and, we're there. Like, we're knocking on the door. We're starting to see some progress here. So I'm not trying to rip and replace our head coach in any way, shape, or form. Now, some of our coaches need to do a better job, sure, and we'll see what happens with them, down the line. That's part of the building process. So, no. Like, if you through the first 5 games of the season, if you don't feel encouraged by the direction of this football program,
there are more answers than questions.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think.
And look at that offense.
Exactly.
Next year.
Exactly. That's why you feel good about the future. That's why you should feel encouraged, because you have something concrete there. Quarterback coming back, the entire offensive line except Cole Bentley. You have all these weapons that are starting to develop. Look, even though Braden Smith got hurt, that dude was going to be a great player this year. Jordan Watkins looking like a great piece. Jalen Mitchell. I mean, Travion Cooley's going to be a star. Yeah. There's a lot to be encouraged about. What the hell's wrong with you all that are negative?
Offensively, here's who you're losing. Berkeley, Bentley. You're going to lose Josh Johnson, Shai Wertz. And defensively, none of those guys. I like our players. I'm not trying to get rid of everybody, but it's not like there's going to be material. On defense, Tabarius Peterson, Jock Turner, C.J. Avery, Quinterio Cole. You're building right now. You're building towards something special. You're
something better, at least.
Something better. Yeah. I don't know what the level of special is.
That's why I'm saying, though, until the defense has so much further to go still, and it's got to start up front, and that's the place where they've made the least progress to me. Let's get Plumber Chuck in here before we wrap things up and turn you over to Scotty D. Plumber Chuck, what's up, man? Welcome into the drive.
What's going on? Now, when Plumber Chuck calls the Miller Lite postgame show with Mark Ennis, and it takes him 4 games to believe in Sadie, that's a miracle right there. So, yes, I've been his biggest critic, and I'm on the Sadie train now. So, yes, he's going to turn it around. But since I got Blank in there, Blank, this question's for you. I think Matt's in trouble, dude. I think with the board and stuff, and if those are level 2 allegations are true, I think he's done. So I'm going to hang up and listen. Give me your thoughts on what I'm thinking about Matt.
All right. Well, to wrap things up here with the inevitable Chris Mack question, look, we said this when the amended NOA came out on Friday. With those things potentially being level 2, they aren't declared; they are just potential. That's what the NOA says. We think the committee could conclude that. Then Chris Mack opens himself up to being able to be fired for cause for that.
Yeah, I don't know.
But
yeah,
I have an extreme hard time believing that will happen, and that it is still the case that the best thing Chris Mack can do is win a lot of games.
If
they win this year, he doesn't have a history of violations or anything like that, so that will work in his favor. If he's got to win enough to where people will look at this and be like, we have cover to make a move because we need to.
Yeah.
To where it's like, no, listen, we got to ride this out. Look what they just did.
Sure. No, and
that's what he needs to create.
He's got to win, and he's got to win big. But the one thing that is interesting to me is that if he doesn't win, and they do have this IARP meeting in like April or something like that, how diligently does U of L argue to get those as level 3 violations versus just keeping them level 2 violations so they don't have to pay the buyout?
Well, it's sort of it's sawing off the branch that you're on if you do that.
I know
like
that. That's what Tennessee did, though.
Well, it's the same. Yeah,
Tennessee did.
You're right. It's the same thing as it's the same dilemma you were in with Patino.
Everybody's best interest is for Chris Mack to win.
That's right.
And
same as with Satterfield.
Yep. But for U of L to argue successfully that these down to level 3 violations and take the bullets out of the gun, and for him to win and win big, and send this give these fans, give back. Give them a reason for all the patience they've provided. Give back to the fans. Our fans have been through freaking hell. And that's one of the reasons why I'm so disappointed by the football game and the lack of a statement from the ACC is our fans have already been put through enough. To get cheated out of a game or not have our best chance or best opportunity to go in there and win, a fair opportunity, is frustrating given what our fans have been through. You can punish the administrators, you can punish the guys making millions of dollars, but our fans aren't there. Our fans have been put through enough. And I do think that the ACC needs to say something about the football team and the football game that happened with Jim Phillips in. I think something needs to come out. I think it needs to be public. And if it doesn't, then it tells me that the ACC is not serious about football.
I don't really have an argument against what you just said. Like, I agree with you. It has to be addressed, or I think you're right. I think you can escalate all the way to they don't care about the football product if they think it's okay for a game to be officiated that way and not say anything about it.
Yeah. The silence to me would tell me everything I need to know. And that would make me very sad.
And I don't know Jim Phillips. I don't know anything about Jim Phillips.
I liked a lot of things he's done already.
I don't have an opinion about him at all. The sum of my opinion of him is that he acted like a complete coward in regard to this, unless I hear something.
I mean, I don't know. Did things slow down because Louisville didn't submit plays, for the ACC to review? I mean, Satterfield went and said, I didn't even submit anything this week because it spoke for itself.
Well, if nothing happens, then it didn't speak for itself.
Right. Then he was wrong, and we needed to submit the tape in, and it's ridiculous. But, clearly, just because Louisville doesn't send plays in doesn't mean those plays didn't happen. Even though I know the league was trying to, they've omitted a lot of the holdings and a lot of these, penalties and timelines out of a lot of the replays that they've produced. They've done that, but it doesn't mean it didn't happen. I know it was on RSN, and not a lot of people got to see it live, but it happened. It's ridiculous, the level of hiding that has gone on from the statement that they produced that basically was trying to rewrite history, telling us that Malik Cunningham was injured with the play clock running and we had to take a timeout. We're rewriting history right now.
Oh, I mean, they gaslit us. That's what they did. What you saw is not what happened. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice try.
Yeah.
All right. That's going to do it for us. Tyler Griever going to be in tomorrow for Luke, as Luke is on baby duty. So he'll be in with us.
Awesome.
Be back at it tomorrow on The Drive on Thunderville. Hang around for us. Got to be. See you.